Hi everyone, Dr. Chris Perron, and I'm sure by now you've probably heard about the Governor Northam's mandate that began last Friday, May 29th, to where across the whole state of Virginia, everybody is mandated to wear a facial covering when in an indoor public space. That does include our office, so pretty much about anywhere other than your own home, you're mandated to wear a mask. There are, and it's 10 years old and up, so small children, not necessary, but 10 years and up. There are a couple of exceptions, which I do think are important. The first and the biggest one is that some people really do have health issues to where wearing something over their face is quite detrimental to their health. Asthma, for instance, breathing, respiratory issues, and so on. So there really are valid health concerns as to where a mask is truly a bad idea. And so my ask to you is, A, if you fall in that category, don't feel pressure. That's a very clear exception made by the governor. There's only 6 exceptions. That's one of 6. One of the big things with it as well is that you're supposed to be able to just say, I have a health issue to where the mask would actually harm me. No questions asked. You do not have to show proof. You also do not have to state what that condition is unless you choose to, but it's all within your right as to how you want to deal with this. But it's not supposed to be a mandate that's going to cause more harm than good. I think we get that point. Along those lines as well, what I ask of all of you, and it's kind of unfortunately been highlighted in our country recently, is don't judge people if they aren't wearing a mask. We shouldn't assume that we know what people's health conditions are regardless of how they look. They might look healthy. It doesn't mean that they don't have something that's very valid. So why don't we just focus on ourselves and take care of our part and just assume everybody else is doing the same thing and leave it at that. There's out in the community in general, I've heard plenty of stories about things of that nature. And quite honestly, from my perspective, I know a lot of people's background in their health, and most of you would probably be pretty surprised at some of the things that are true and valid. So grant people that courtesy, if you will. It's my request of you. The other place is medical treatment. So at the office where this mandate applies for us as a group is really the reception area. That's the one place where people can be within 6 feet of each other potentially. And that's really what it is. The purpose behind this mandate is two main things. A is more indoor spaces are open. Not all spaces have the space to be able to maintain that 6 feet of social distance, which is really the key factor. So the mask is more an additional add-on, if you will, assuming that there'll be times when one might be within 6 feet of somebody else. Okay. The other one is when you're getting adjusted. Certainly you can wear your mask the entire time. There's no problem on my end, but it's not necessarily all that comfortable or easy to lay face down on the table and be treated while that mask is pushed up against you. So know that it is your option. It is not necessary to wear it in the adjusting area. We have lots of space there. And as we've been doing for months, the whole thing's disinfected constantly. So there's really no issue as far as whether you have a mask on or not in the adjusting area. As far as staff, doctors, you'll see that we all have facial coverings. We will basically have them up when we're going to be within 6 feet of any of you. And if we're not going to be within 6 feet of you, we'll probably not have them up. Reason being is wearing them for hours and hours and hours all day, it's not just a nuisance. It really is hard to breathe. And so we're going to wear it for the purpose of what it is and respect the guidelines for what they've been said to be. And but I strongly believe and know that we're doing it in the right context of the purpose behind all of that, which is safety, not just a random rule. Other than that, one little highlight, doesn't apply at the office. One of the other exceptions is exercise. So you don't have to wear it when you exercise. I highly recommend not wearing one while you exercise because not breathing well could help you to just pass out instead and end up in the hospital for a different reason. So again, plenty of times you can wear them and it's good, but not necessarily all the time and not for everyone. As far as and it's a lot of indicators from the governor is that this is going to be going on for months. So really what I wanted to share with you as well is a few different mask styles and what they do, what they don't do, just to know what options you might have and think about as you really do look at this as a long range thing. odds are incredibly high it'll be the whole summer at the least. So you might as well get a game plan if you don't have one already. So I've kind of divided us into two groups, or people in general. So there's the legit high risk group, right? We all know them by now. It's all the comorbidities: diabetes, heart disease, lung issues, asthma, lots of things like that. Look them up. So that group, wearing a mask to protect themselves would actually be a phenomenal idea. Why not, right? If anybody's going to do it, they should be doing it. It's been shown, thankfully, that the majority of the population really shouldn't have too hard a time with coronavirus, and certainly not be something that would potentially be lethal. But for certain groups, it's obviously a much bigger deal. So being extra careful if you are in that group, or if you take care of somebody in that group or around somebody in that group, so indirectly. Take an extra precaution obviously just makes sense and is wise. And for that, a KN95. So we've heard about the N95 masks. They're the ones that there weren't many of. There's a lot more now, but still kind of being sent just to the hospitals and medical facilities where they're literally interacting and treating patients with coronavirus. But KN95 is basically, look at it as like the generic brand of a drug. It does basically the same thing within just a hint of it. That 95 number on either mask, what it translates to is it blocks in and out 95% plus of what's coming in and out. That's why they're a big deal with the real stuff. So if you are high risk or you're around somebody high risk, I actually would recommend that you do use the K95 mask, of which I'm going to have a link on the email to a company that sells them. Nice people, good job from other doctors I've talked to, and there's no shortage. If you're high risk and all that, you really shouldn't be going out too often, because paper masks, whether these or these, the more common ones you see everybody wearing, they're really not supposed to be worn more than 4, maybe 6 hours tops before they're considered contaminated as far as what we breathe into them. And so you will have to kind of replenish that supply. But if you're not going out very much, one mask a week, maybe even a couple weeks, depending on how often you go out, this is real protection, right? This isn't just blocking a little bit. K95. As far as other masks, for everybody else, you have your classic ones handing out at the grocery stores. A lot of people have these. Paper, they're cheap, they're easy, that's nice. Except, again, 4 to 6 hours or until they're damp. Those are official rules. This is the part that kind of drives me a little batty. They say everybody wear a mask, period, right? There's not a lot of guidance on how to wear one in a clean way. And that really is a big deal if you look at the sites on WHO, World Health Organization, even CDC. Once they get gross from what you're putting out, then they're not quite as healthy as the intent is for. So the paper ones, again, you're going to have to go through them if you want to do it the right way and do it a healthy way. My suggestion coming up in a second is a little different option than that, because I think that could get expensive unnecessarily. There's the homemade ones. Here's one made by one of our lovely patients. You know who you are, and thank you. These are great. Same idea though. You kind of have to wash them about every time you wear them, unless you're 5-10 minutes. That's cool. But once you've worn it for like an hour or two, you got to be able to throw it in the wash and clean it. Same drill. It's not about wearing a mask, it's about wearing a clean mask. So you got to keep it clean. The cloth ones are good, but you just need to make sure that you're washing them on a regular basis. So all the ones I just showed you are kind of stuck to your face. They're a literal mask. So a couple options that aren't masks, but they are facial coverings and do the trick as far as blocking you. But none of them except the N95 really block much coming in. But one idea is a bandana, right? So I know you wanted to go back to John Wayne days. So bandana works great. And one of my favorite things about the bandana, other than the amazing look, especially pink, is it's got lots of air and space down here, right? So you can breathe. It gives a lot more freedom of breathing fresh air while very easily and obviously clearly blocking that space that's going right in front of you. So a bandana is a great idea. And then one more, last one to share with you is a neck gaiter, if you've ever heard of that. It's basically like a turtleneck, and you put it on. They find them for fishing and boating and stuff, and they're actually meant to block the sun. So you can pull it up like this, These guys are typically made out of an antimicrobial material. Still got to wash them once in a while. But it's a material that's not meant to have your germs really stick there and get gross. They work real well. Bandana neck gaiter. It's Gaiter, gaiter. They're just kind of long-term use, especially heading into the summertime, as far as a couple options you might want to think about. If you get the neck gaiter, make sure you get one that is meant for like fishing and things, where they say it's got a cooling or something like that, to where it's a light material. Not one for like skiing and things like that to keep one warm. We don't need that in the summertime, right? So that's kind of it. So my last 2 points I just want to share, reiterate, is you don't need to wear them outside, and especially summertime. I really ask that you don't wear them outside for your sake. The heat and the breathing and getting fresh air and all that. Again, coronavirus does not blow around in the wind. You're not going to catch it. They've said since the beginning, and haven't changed their tune, that just walking by somebody literally on a path or a sidewalk, the odds are beyond minimal that you would likely catch something from somebody that way either. So when you're out and about, I highly recommend that you don't wear one because it's hot. But obviously do whatever you're comfortable with. And that's for the non-high risk group. And then the other one is back to try not to judge people. Again, we don't know everybody's background. We don't know their particulars. I know everybody's kind of scared, worked up, done with it, all tons of emotions all around this. I know I share plenty of them with you, but the reality is it's a mandate. It's going to last. Coronavirus isn't gone. It's going to take a little while before our lives going to get back to what normal it should be. And so during that time, again, just finding a good game plan that works for you is what I hope we helped share a little bit. All right, so look forward to seeing everybody, and have a great day. Take care.